Welcome to a brand new episode of the post game. I am your host Davion, and I'm joined by Lillian
What's up?
and Emmett.
What's going on, everyone?
And today we are back talking about some more NBA. Today we're going to talk about the let me rephrase that. Today we're going to talk about the most overachieving teams so far in the NBA. There are two teams in our opinion anyway. So when you look at it, you got the Orlando Magic, who are currently they're third in the East at a 14-7 record. They lost last night, and I did my notes before last night. And the Portland Trailblazers, too, in my opinion, and they're 15-4. They're number one in the West. So, but I got that right. So when you look at these two teams, let's start with the Timberwolves, not Trailblazers. Yeah, just set that on fire. The Timberwolves. What I remember what my prediction was at the beginning of the season. Do y'all remember what you guys said about the Timberwolves?
I
So,
definitely didn't have them first.
I think I said they were gonna like miss the playoffs or
all right,
something.
so I have some bad mojo. I said last year. I said last year the Timberwolves would be the one seed,
Yeah, you did.
Yeah,
and I also said that Jokic would win the MVP the year before he did, and then I also said back in like 2019 that Julius Randle would win Most Improved, and then the next year he won it.
yo, real quick, did you predict the Warriors to win a ring this year?
Me?
Yeah, just so I can know that they're gonna win next year or not.
I, I didn't say that. No.
Oh,
Uh,
so good.
Yeah, I think I had Minnesota in like the play-in maybe, like seven,
yeah.
8 seed. I don't remember for sure, but
And I remember I got ripped apart for saying that they were gonna miss the playoffs. Maybe I should go look for those comments right now and see if
Yeah.
someone
I mean,
left me.
there's
Um,
still time, but it would take a couple of injuries to do it.
yeah, and truthfully, I don't think it's gonna get that bad. I think they are. I mean, they're flying right now, man. They are just playing great team basketball. They are playing. Um, I think they just discarded the idea of the in-season tournament, and they were like, they're gonna worry about that. We're gonna worry about the West, and we're gonna worry about, winning basketball games, and that's exactly what they're doing. Like Anthony Edwards, this team, and here's the big reason why I didn't think they were gonna work out because I didn't think Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert could work out. But as we are seeing, they are magically. And Rudy Gobert is playing some of the best basketball that he's played in a long time. And I hate to say it out loud, but I'm eating my humble pie right now. I apologize for what I said about the Timberwolves. I apologize. I
Yeah.
was
Hey,
wrong.
I I also apologize because I was a Rudy Gobert hater.
Yeah.
Well,
We
thank you
just,
both for owning up to it.
Not because I thought he was like terrible. I
I
just
did.
thought he was overrated.
I thought he was bad.
But I think I'll still say I think there was a point in time when he was a little bit overrated.
Yeah.
But I think that he's living up to the hype now. He's been great.
Yo, so looking at a comment from that video. This guy wrote a book. He goes, Carlton Towns missed training camp with an illness, which he lost 20 pounds. He might have played his Spurs in the first 21 games, blah, 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 blah. No more self, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about Carlton Towns. He goes, a healthy Timberwolves squad could be top 3 seed. They were missing McDaniels, who apparently hit a late growth spurt. Now is 6'11", blah, 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 and now is reading the playoffs. So, yeah, and then I commented. I said, "Thank you for your comment and for watching the video, but I completely disagree. Top three." I said top three is wild and a stretch. So,
Oh,
I will.
doubling down is rough.
Yeah,
Uh,
then he wrote another paragraph. So I'm gonna reply to him right now. I apologize. You were
uh,
right. But
yeah,
so, yeah, go ahead.
I think we're seeing the importance now of having depth on your team and not stacking superstar after superstar. And I think it kind of started with having with the Nuggets winning, having one superstar and everyone else that complemented him perfectly, and they worked as a team. And I think like it like makes it sad to like say this because like these were the guys that like I watched growing up, but like I think we're moving into the time where like the young guns are like taking over.
I
Like
hope so.
Yeah.
I think just some of these teams with older guys that were really good like 4 years ago, but and are still pretty good, but like I mean I don't know, like the Clippers, the Bulls, like they're just not. It's just they're not having the season that they should be having with that talent. And young teams like the Timberwolves and the Magic, who have waited patiently, gotten their draft picks to work out, and people around them, like it's just a lot more fluid. And I think that they most of the guys on both those teams have played with each other for a while. And yeah, they might have endured some trash seasons together, but like that is like a season where they get to play with each other and figure each other out and whatnot. So I don't know. I just think the Timberwolves had the number one pick in 2020. The Magic had multiple top 10 picks in the past 4 years, and I think they're just both getting to a point where it's kind of clicking for them. So I'm happy for them and their fans being a small market and having to build to the draft and whatnot. So, wish my Hornets could get there, but
Easy.
sadly,
Easy.
I mean, I'll say one of the
and I
most
wish I didn't say they were.
Hey, don't shoot the
one of the
messenger.
most impressive things I think about this Timberwolves team though is especially when they first got Rudy Gobert, everybody said you can't run a too big lineup in today's NBA.
That was one of them.
And now they will actually run out a lineup with Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns, and Nas Reed all at the same time. And they win with three centers on the floor at the same time. And that's, I mean, it's just mind blowing because I don't think there's a single other team that could get away with it.
And I think you have to give a lot of credit to coaching, man. Like, and
Yeah.
I mean, you spoke on it too. Like, you look at this, like teams like the Clippers. What are they doing? But you look at teams like the Magic, or not the Magic, the Mavericks. Like they have Luka and they have Kyrie. Who do we still consider him like superstar caliber?
He's
'Cause
definitely not a superstar anymore, but he is
Personally,
a
I
star
don't.
still.
Like I definitely think he's good, but I don't think. But I don't think he is superstar caliber. But when you look at these teams, and it's like, what does it take to be a championship team? A team that they're gonna sit there, they're gonna be bad for a season or two because they're trying to figure it out. But during that time, they're playing together, they are developing together, and all these things are happening. That's why teams like the Thunder are gonna be good at one point. That's why teams like the Magic are now third in the East, and that's why this team is number one in the West.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean Emmett mentioned these younger guys are starting to take over. The guys we grew up watching aren't running the league anymore. And I mean, he's right. If you look at the top four teams in each conference, none of them are none of their star players outside of Kyrie Irving are those older guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's Tatum and Giannis and Bankero and Embiid and the trio of Ant and Cat and Gobert, and then you see Shea and Chet in OKC and Jokic in Denver and Luca in Dallas. It's just these young guys are really starting to take over.
yeah,
And I think it was like a natural progression
Yeah.
that was going to happen. I think it was just bound to happen. I think we see. I hate to say it, but we see LeBron is getting older, but he's not getting older, which is even crazier to say. He's still averaging 20 points a game at least, and 3 rebounds and 7 assists or whatever the stat line actually is. And it's like you look at it and it's like, man, like at one point I think the NBA is in safe hands. Luka's not gonna play until he's 38. That's just not gonna happen. He doesn't love the game that much, but he's really damn good at it. Not Luka, Jokic. But you look at like teams like the Timberwolves, like here's a big question for them, and we can talk about bringing the Magic in there too as well. Do you think the Timberwolves or the Magic can win it all this season with what they have right now?
No.
The Timberwolves might be able to. They have the defense to survive the playoffs.
Mm.
The Magic can't though. They're still too young. They don't have any experience on that team.
Yeah.
The Timberwolves at least have Gobert and Conley.
Yeah. They could get far. Um, it's hard to like say that they would because there's just so many teams in the past that like have just been dominant in the regular season and then like they just get exposed. And, I mean, the Grizzlies for 2 straight years were the 2 seed, nothing. And then remember the Jazz just, I mean, they
Yeah.
just kind of exposed their play style and they couldn't adjust and whatnot. So just like my take is just like history speaks, and I hope it gets changed, but I just don't think either of them can pull away. But it's also like early in the year, teams are still like learning who are like the main like rotational players, like who they need to watch out for. I think also like it could be early, like these teams like the Clippers and Bulls and that are stacking lots of players. Like who knows? Maybe later in the year they kind of figure each other out and are able to find a groove. But
Oh,
you
and
can
there's
only
still,
Yeah.
yeah,
you can only speculate at this point.
and there's still so many trades still left to be done. Like I think there's going to be so much more moving towards the middle and closer to that trade deadline that we have no excuse me, that we don't even know about, like that are probably in the works right now. I think the Bulls team is going to blow up, and you know if that team blows up, then like there's a lot of talent that's going to be leaving Chicago, like Caruso, like Zach LaVine, like you know the rest of those guys, and so that'll be interesting to see what happens there and where people go, and you know so gonna jump back to the Orlando Magic real quick, like so this team is in a very, very hard East, in my opinion. I think the East, when it comes to some of the top teams, like they are really, really good. You have to, I mean, I think we're gonna call the Patriots a good team. They're just a good team, and I think they have exceeded expectations too. They can be definitely on this list as well. You have the Bucks, you have the Celtics, you have the 76ers, and you have the Heat. You have all these teams that are really good basketball teams, and especially towards the end of the season, to the towards the not trade deadline, but towards the All Star break. That's when teams really become themselves, in my opinion, before and after the All Star break. So, looking at these teams, can the Magic compete in the playoffs? And I know that's so far out. And do you think there's any more moves they need to make before they become a more playoff ready team?
Well, I mean, I think right now the Magic shouldn't make any moves. They are in. They have such a good young lineup that is, for the most part, healthy, and it's worked so well that all they need is development.
Mm-hmm.
They're throwing in another star player isn't actually going to help them because they give up so much depth, and the depth is why they win a lot of games. I think that right now they're just young. Only thing that ever helps with being young is getting older. So I think that can they compete in the playoffs right now? Maybe they can win their first round series, depending on who they get matched up with. But I don't think they really go farther than that.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're set. They ride out the year unless something like drastic happens. I mean, say they're like 500 and somebody goes down, maybe they'll try and get, if they really want to compete, they might try and get some extra firepower. But if not, I don't think they should do anything because they also do got like good vets. Gary Harris and Joe Ingles play a good bit of minutes for them, and
Mm-hmm.
they've played in the playoffs a lot. Um, yeah, so I think they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, they're a good team right now. If there's something that happens that needs to a drastic change, I think Zach Levine's door is always open. And, Zach Levine being thrown into that mix isn't an awful idea. Um, he adds more firepower to that team. Maybe Zach Levine goes to Brooklyn. You never know. Brooklyn is one of those teams that I think they're just two steps off of being there. But yeah, looking at it, very very interesting NBA season we're having so far. And
Yeah.
yeah, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Well, yeah. One more thing about the Magic. They just have, I think, one of the most underrated duos in the NBA, and I think they're becoming more well known. But Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero,
Absolutely.
both 20 points per game scorers. They defend well. It's they play really good basketball. They do everything you ask for from your franchise leader, and it's a great 1A 1B duo.
Yeah, there's a Patrick Beverly's podcast. He was like talking about the Magic.
I heard this.
I can't
Yeah.
exactly remember, but someone said like Franz Wagner's name. He's like, who? He's like, is that the dude on the Magic? Um, and then he said something about like if you have like Paolo and certain amount of talent, like you should be top of the conference, and anything else is like a failure. But I don't know. Anyways, I guess like one last thing I'll say is like, I mean, I look back on stuff, but like if y'all remember last year, the Jazz with like Markkinen had like a really hot start. Like I think
Yeah.
they were 15-7 to start the year. So like, and then they probably finished 13th in the West. So like, you can only just kind of speculate on
Yeah.
seeing stuff like that and wondering what will happen to these teams. But I
But
don't know.
speaking of speaking of the Jazz, they got beat by 50 last night.
Oh yeah,
That
Oh,
Jazz game was rough, man. That was a rough game.
did y'all see the press conference after from the coach?
no.
Yes,
He was not
that
happy.
was.
He said
I
that
believe the words were that
that
was a masterpiece of dog shit. I
exactly.
think is how he
Yeah.
described that.
No,
Um,
those are the exact words he said, and I was like, "Yeah, losing by 50. That's what it feels like."
I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
I
yeah,
couldn't imagine.
accurate.
I mean, I coach soccer and I've lost by 10, and that's exactly how I felt. Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. But man, thank y'all for joining. Let us know what you think the NBA teams are gonna do, man. It's a fun time right now in the NBA. Now the end-season tournament is about to end. We will definitely see teams either fall off the face of the earth or become better. I think the Clippers, the Heat are two teams that I think should make a way back up towards the top of their respective conferences. But we'll have to wait and see what that looks like. But anyway, thank y'all for joining. Lillian and Emmett, thank y'all for jumping on as well. I have been your host, Davion, and this has been the post game. Peace.